I'm sure you're thinking, what do you mean ranking your anaphylactic reactions? And by that, I mean today we are sitting down and tier listing how mid my episodes of anaphylaxis are. I have an immune disorder that causes me to be allergic to virtually everything and has caused me to have a few episodes of anaphylaxis over the years. Starting off with number one. This was my first episode of anaphylaxis. It was also possibly the most dramatic and the only one where I nearly went to the hospital. So it happened when my parents were out. I wasn't quite alone. There were some other people in the house with me that assisted, but that was it. I woke up in pain, which at first I thought was just period pain, but I now know was actually my immune disorder flaring up. At the time, I had this stupid idea to make the pain go away. I had to eat salad. That's what I thought, because it would give me nutrients or something. That was not how it worked at all, but you know, attempting to deal with that stuff without the right framework was a real headache all around. So I went to the kitchen, I tried to make a salad, I felt increasingly sick, faint, and eventually I was in so much pain that I just went back to bed and got heating pads. And that sounds like it was just a little bit of pain. I mean, it was like quite a large amount of pain. I felt like I was gonna faint. Anyway, the pain kept getting worse and worse, like the worst kind of pain you ever felt in your life kind of pain, like cramping, like every muscle was seizing up from my thighs through my neck. Uh and I was trying to relax the muscles with the heating pad. It was not working. The heating pads like were on so hot. I was quite literally starting to almost get burns from them, and they still weren't enough. In fact, they might have possibly been making it worse, but I think they were kind of helping. They were making it slightly more bearable. But then my heart started beating super fast, and eventually I started breathing fast, and I called for help from the other people in the house, and they did come and help, and they got me like dandelions to eat because I thought maybe that would help fix things for some reason. It did not help fix things. I ate the dandelions, and then I started like hyperventilating. Like, we're not talking I started panic at me. I mean, my breathing went out of control. It went so fast, and I was starting to seize up, like physically, not just the muscles cramping. I mean that like my hands started locking like claws, like crab claws. I could not move them, no matter how hard I tried. And then we called my mother, um, and I tried to talk to her. Couldn't talk. Now, at this point, I was breathing so fast, I could not talk. I was in so much pain, and then I threw up. And that's what made us almost call the hospital, the fact that I couldn't breathe and like couldn't talk. But before we called the hospital, that period of seizing up and not being able to talk and super fast breathing only lasted like a few minutes. So even if we did go to the hospital, we probably would have gone back home like halfway on the way there because, well, I was no longer not able to breathe, so whatever. Um, it was pretty painful and sucked, and also scary because it was the first time. But it is S tier, going in the awesome tier list because it made me actually go to the doctor, which eventually led to my diagnosis. Like, eventually. So, awesome. S tier. Okay, editing note, I gave up on editing here, so you might want to play this on the background. It is not going to be super visually interesting. Next up, we have the bed. So this is a bed because it happens. Most of it took place in. Okay, all of these mostly took place on a bed, but that one was kind of like a fancier bed. I wasn't at home at the time. It was the day after a holiday, and it took place over the course of a couple hours. Similar to the first one, I woke up in pain. I realized this one happened because of the food I had eaten the previous night. I was like reacting to it in the morning. So eventually the pain this time got so bad I was running between the bathroom and the bedroom in pain until I stopped being able to really move very much. Hyperventilated, seized up again, didn't throw up this time. It was so painful, however, that it made me cry. And I was bedridden for the whole rest of the day, even after it happened. And I keep in mind, I still didn't know this was anaphylaxis. I didn't know what it was. I was like Googling stuff, like, I was like in my bed, sitting there, Googling, like, is how to tell if you're going into shock. I wasn't. But, I was, in a way, like, kind of on the right track ish. Now, at this point, you're probably thinking, okay, wait, pause, hold up. This doesn't sound like anaphylaxis. Like, anaphylaxis, right? That's the thing that kills people, like where your airway swells up and you get hives. And I would say that is a good observation. I agree. It doesn't sound like anaphylaxis. In fact, all the anaphylactic reactions on this list, I did not know were anaphylaxis at the time they happened. Some of them I didn't know were anaphylaxis for months or years. So the common depiction of anaphylaxis is like I don't know, some child comes into contact with peanuts and then like seizes like their airway swells up and they can't breathe. That's the common depiction. However, what I found out after finally getting diagnosed and figuring out what the heck was going on was that anaphylaxis is just multi-system severe allergic reaction. So it has to involve multiple systems that are reacting in an immune way. These systems can include the gastrointestinal tract, so that's like your stomach and your intestines, and that can be like vomiting and diarrhea. And then there's skin, which is like kind of the famous one where you get hives and swelling, and that swelling can happen in the throat. Then there's respiratory, which is like hyperventilation and breathing difficulties. And then there's cardiovascular, which is like the increased heart rate, maybe low blood pressure. You can have other complications with your heart. And there are a lot of different types of anaphylaxis. And a lot of them just don't look how they look on TV at all. It's always severe, but not always life threatening. So, like, there are generally two ways you can die of anaphylaxis. Number one is suffocation. So that's like if your airway swells up and then you basically choke. And then that's the type that I think gets the most attention. And the second one is anaphylactic shock, which I think most people, including me, don't realize that's not like the same thing. Like they don't know what that actually means. What that means is that your blood pressure can drop so much that your body can't deliver blood and you go into organ failure. So for me, I have steep blood pressure drops, but not enough to cause organ failure or be deadly. And I haven't gotten skin symptoms before. I haven't gotten swelling. Mostly I get cardiovascular, gastrointestinal, and like some respiratory effects. And you might be thinking, okay, where does the seizing, where your hands lock, come into this? And that is, I low key don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out. Anyway, number three. Oh wait, I forgot to rank. Forgot to rank number two. Yeah, number two, the bed is going into excruciating. That shit sucked. And number three, this one I think was because I ate guacamole, corn chips, hummus, and maybe sauerkraut, and I kind of ate them all at once, so I don't know which one it was. But to be honest, I think I knew it was a terrible idea. Like I knew it was a bad idea, but I just couldn't help myself. It looked so good. I was so hungry. Anyway, this is going right into bad because it wasn't as long lasting as the previous two. Like, it was still painful, but it was basically over and done with after a few hours instead of affecting me for days. Um, but, but, it's going into bad, all caps, because it was so badly timed. It was so badly timed. Like, I was on the toilet and my vision started blacking out. Like, I was completely blacking out. I couldn't see anything. It was pure black. And I stopped being able to hear anything too. So like even as I was screaming with how painful it was, I could not like hear the other people. I could barely hear myself, even as I was screaming for help. And that was just so badly timed because I was going to the bathroom. I needed to wipe myself. I can't just get off the bathroom, like the toilet. I have to deal with my stuff so I don't get, unsanitary stuff everywhere. But how do you do that when you're literally blacking out? Like I couldn't see anything. I could barely hear anything. All that. Like, this was because that happened because my blood pressure was dropping so much. My heart couldn't get my blood to my brain to like process sensory stuff. And like just in general, all the automatic functions that are supposed to be regulated were becoming totally dysregulated. So basically my blood was fighting gravity to get to my brain, and gravity was winning. Anyway, I had to rush off the toilet, trying not to faint, but it got better when I lay down and I threw up. So, all in all, this is going in, as I said, bad, but it was not the worst. Now, shower. Actually, no, that one's low key the funniest, so I'm saving it for last. Number 4, let's go with the rug. This one is a rug because I remember hyperventilating on a rug as my mother went like, calm down, don't worry. It's um, like stop panicking. I know bad things have happened before, but it'll be worse if you panic. And it's like, no, mother, I'm not panicking. In fact, I'm very calm. I just literally physically cannot breathe any slower. I was also seizing up that time. Barely remember anything about it, to be honest. Also remember texting a friend when I was recovering and barely being able to type. But to be honest, I nearly forgot about this one. Like, I nearly forgot to include it. So this one is going into mid, like, step it up. Um, Similarly, this big question mark is the ones I don't remember. Like, I know there was more than 5, I just don't remember the others. So, like, definitely mid. If I can't remember it, step it up. Mid. Now, oh yeah. So, like, the reason I know there are others is because at the time I was having an anaphylactic reaction like almost every other month, because this was before I got diagnosed. So I didn't have the right framework to understand, number 1, what the episodes were, number 2, why they were happening, and number 3, how to make them not happen. They were just like the mysterious physical episode. So I couldn't avoid them properly. I knew they were tied to food for the most part, but that's pretty inconsistent, and now it's like basically all food. So it turned out I have MCAS, which makes me allergic to almost everything. So you know, while I'm at it, drop a comment and subscribe if you find me funny, entertaining, or educational. Oh, and leave a like. It helps in the algorithm, and I'd love to see you around again. Now, as promised, I'm moving on to the funniest one. This one is a shower head because I had an anaphylactic reaction over taking a shower. So, yeah, you heard that right. A shower. At the end, I nearly blacked out. Couldn't hear anything, blah, blah, blah. You've heard it all before. I think this happened because the heat of the shower redirected the blood from my stomach to my skin, so I couldn't digest the food that was in my stomach, and it made my body reject the food. Maybe. That's like my running theory. I don't actually know, but it was definitely tied to the shower. Also, at the end of the shower, when I was rushing to get out, I like knocked the shower head and it fell off and it hit me in the nose, and oh my god, that was like the final straw. My body could not take that. It was like 50 to, I wouldn't say it's 1 to 100 because it was getting bad already, but oh, it went like beyond 100, like 150. It was so bad. All in all, uh, hmm. Okay. This is between awesome and excruciating. Actually, it could just be bad because it was pretty brief. It wasn't as bad as, it wasn't like as lengthy as these first two. But it doesn't feel right to just put it in bad. I think I'm actually going to make a new tier. New tier. Add row below. And this tier is going to be called funny. This is the funniest one. Goodbye.